Member for Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I got one fan, so there we go. We'll see if I have it by the end of this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on an issue I think that we all know is growing, and at this time of year, when I walked into the building, it's cold, and it's getting really cold. And we saw what happened last year, and we see with the change of climate change, what is happening year after year, whether it's we're getting heat waves or extreme cold snaps. Our vulnerable population is growing at a rate that we've never seen before. And I am definitely seeing that in my constituency of Surrey White Rock. A few weeks back, we held a homelessness rally, and it was to raise awareness on the homelessness challenges that we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years. And it was actually organized by those that do not have shelter. And I told one story, and I'll tell it again because it's worth repeating. I had a lady come up to me, and she said, do you mind that when you're not here at your constituency office, if I can park in your parking spot? I said, no, I don't, not at all. That's absolutely fine. I said, do you have work around here? Do you have, is your child going to martial arts, which is above my office? And she said, no, I'm living in my car with my daughter, and I thought that if I parked in the MLA's parking spot, that maybe they would let me stay there for the night, and maybe I would be safe because there's security. That's a pretty sobering statement to hear from one of your constituents, that they are so desperate for housing that her and her daughter are taking shelter in their car, and that the only place that they may feel safe is out in front of my office. I have another constituent that her home has been the bus stop of 32nd and King George Highway for the last year. And we were able to get her into, her home before that was on a deck, on a patio, which she was being charged $15 per night. So these are the stories, and I know these stories are very familiar with every MLA in this House, because I don't think my riding's any different from the challenges that they are facing. But we have a significant problem here, a significant one. When we talk about the shelters that we have in place, right now in White Rock and South Surrey, we are struggling. Even if we do have those shelters in place, we are beyond capacity before dinner's even served. And so the challenges that we see is that with a growing homeless population, we're struggling to keep up. And I look at the fact is that we have seen such a dramatic uptake in those struggling with mental health, with addictions. But in my riding, we have that. But in my riding, we also have a number of seniors who are struggling with housing. And because in White Rock proper, there's a lot of buildings that have been constructed in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, that are now getting demolished to build for new units. And with that becomes more units, and I think that's a great thing, and that's something that we've been driving home with municipal governments. But with that comes a population that is on a very fixed income, that is struggling to make decisions on whether or not they are able to make their rent or pay for their groceries or get their medication. And they are facing challenges of homelessness right now. I would say when I first started that the majority of my cases in my constituency office were healthcare. And I thank the Minister of Health and his office for assisting in a lot of those cases. I would say now, the vast, vast, vast majority of the cases that we deal with are housing. And they're heartbreaking. They are absolutely heartbreaking, whether it's a single mom that is getting evicted from the basement suite, whether it's the seniors that are having to find a new location, whether it's an adult with an intellectual disability that is moving out for the first time and trying to get housing. It is a challenge. But the biggest challenge that we have right now, given the weather, is shelter space. And Mr. Speaker, I think that it's imperative of all of us to work together for a solution at every level of government to ensure we are doing the best that we possibly can for our most vulnerable people at this crucial time. Thank you.
Thank you, member.